The new breed Triumph Speedmaster, the Bonneville Triumph Speed. Should we try that again? The new breed of Triumph, or Bonneville Triumph Speedmaster, the 1200 high torque engine, since 2018 has been a remarkably popular bike. It came along a year or so after the first, like the new breed of bobber, and then the Speedmaster came out, and then the bobber black, I think. If you are thinking bobber rather than Speedmaster, I get asked this all the time actually. It's people watch the reviews and things on the channel, and they're unsure whether to go for the bobber or the bobber black. Sorry, the bobber or the Speedmaster. They're very similar. I mean, they're basically the same bike. The handlebars are straight on the bobber. The bobber only has single disc brake at the front compared to the bobber black, and the Speedmaster, which has double discs, I would recommend getting the bobber. If you're getting the bobber, get the bobber black rather than the bobber, purely because of the double discs at the front. It's a big bike. It weighs 200 this is off the top of my head, I'm going to go for the bobber, 220 kilos, you know, which is a lot for a single disc front. So I would, if you're going to go bobber, get the bobber black. However, if you're going to get the bobber, you might as well get the Speedmaster. Bobber does look cooler, but the Speedmaster is more adaptable. There you go, that's the one I'm going for. You can dress it up like a bobber, so I've removed my back seat, my pillion seat and things like that, so it looks more bobber-esque, and it looks pretty damn sexy if you ask me. So you can make it look good, but yet still retain the ability to put on a pillion, luggage, etc. for the occasions. And let's face it, they're few and far between for most of us, where you actually have luggage and multiple people on your, or two people on your bike. Most of the time it's just you, so it's really nice to have the option of just having, you know, of having the two. You can be cool bobber, but also vaguely practical. Actually no, I'm not going to go down that. I'm going to keep on this main road and talk to you nice people. There's a reason why it's been so popular, and I only actually worked this out at the end of last year, which was when I stopped, as it were, doing the bike reviews. It was whilst I was coming back from its service, and through torrential rain. I actually had to go through a lake at one point because the road was flooded, and I was vaguely concerned that, you know, because it's quite low, I was slightly concerned that water would actually get inside the engine or down the pipes or something. So, you know, a good number of revs going through this lake, but it survived. I survived. We're all happy. And then I had to clean it afterwards, which was a bit of a pain. However, what was I saying? Oh yeah, it came to me on that journey just why the 2018 plus, you know, 2023 now, the 2018 plus, so the new model Triumph Speedmaster is so popular as a retro cruiser. And I realised it's actually a remarkably simple answer to that, which is that as a stock bike, so just as it comes from the shop, you buy it, it is so good. Yes, people, I think one of the most popular changes is the rear suspension. So you only get a single spring suspension on the back, which is under your seat here. And a lot of people do change those to Öhlins and things like that. But my point is that the 2018 plus model is so good from stock that, you know, unless you're actually quite a biker, it's nice not to have to change your bike once you buy it, kind of thing. Go back kind of 10 years, well, and more obviously, but certainly even 10 years ago, the manufacturers would almost expect you to buy the bike and then change lots of bits on it to make it good. The point about the Triumph Speedmaster now is that it is superb from stock. So you buy it out of the box and it's already brilliant. And that's what makes this bike so popular, is that it doesn't require lots of changing up and developing, because it's already an absolutely banging ride. The Speedmaster comes with these hanger bars. They're not hanger bars because they're not up in the air, they're not ape hangers. What do I mean? They're beach bars. They're spread back beach bars, which means that you have your wrist at a slightly odd angle. If you're coming from straight bars, you will find this a bit weird to start with, so definitely test ride more than once if you're thinking of it, because it takes a while to get used to it. When you're coming from other bikes, you'll be used to having not all your weight, but a lot of your weight going through your wrists, going forwards. Because you're upright on the Speedmaster, you don't actually have your weight going forwards into your wrists, so having them at this angle isn't actually a problem. So you'll watch a lot of reviews of this bike and people say, oh, they don't like the bars, they're going to change them for straight bars. It's usually people who haven't actually owned the bike very long and so haven't got used to how it's actually set up as quite comfortable already. That's why these beach bars work, is because you're upright already. You haven't got your weight going through the through your arms in front like you would on, you know, like on the bobber actually, because your riding position is much more forward, which has straight bars. So that is the most obvious odd thing about this bike, is the beach bars. The engine is beautiful. It is 1200 horses. Don't spray your windscreen at me, you dirty polo. The engine is beautiful. 12 hungry horses. They aren't actually that hungry. I mean, it does 60 miles to the gallon, so they're not super hungry horses. They're actually quite they're on a pretty vegan diet, I'd say. For a 1200 high torque engine to do 60 miles per gallon is good. So there's that aspect to this bike, but the engine itself is really smooth. It's got perhaps a little. So town riding is interesting because there's quite a lot of, because it's a high torque engine, you get a lot of bite early on in first gear. So if you're just doing this in sort of forwards and backwards in traffic or in town with traffic lights, my recommendation is use this funky button here which says M for mode, which switches you between road and rain. And rain mode, as well as being good for rain and when the roads are wet, takes out some of the instant hit of the throttle. So when you are just sort of doing a little bit of clutch control in towns and things of that ilk, it makes it a much more manageable experience because the throttle isn't quite so bitey. That is the technical word, by the way, bitey. But the engine as a whole, beautiful. Second gear is the most gorgeous thing on the planet. I will drop down into second gear so you can appreciate this, but when it's... That is the beauty of second gear. It'll also, if you drop off, do pops and burbles just as with the engine braking in second gear. Oh, Rumble Town. You know, we're not talking Harley here. We're not talking Harley, or we're not talking what's that? The Indian sort of, you know, that have V twins. This is a parallel twin. So you're not talking the same sort of thunderous experience. This is more storm in the distance. Although when you actually give it the beans, the storm is very much underneath you. But it's not terrifying to sort of the wider community at a mile's distance, which Harleys can be. This is purry. It is a gentle tiger. It is a lion that has been well fed. It has got a thrum to it, a thrum rather than a barky roar, and it is utterly beautiful in second gear. I'm currently just in fifth gear at 40 miles an hour. I know you know it, and that I guess is my other point about the engine, which is the gear setup. You can ride in really high gears at slow speeds. And Triumph are doing this a lot. They do it with the Scrambler, but on the Scrambler you don't stall. You can have it in second gear without any acceleration, any throttle, and it will just poddle at 15 miles an hour. It's a very weird experience. I think we might go this way. We might stop off actually over here as well and do a little walk aroundy. Ooh, slow that puppy down. Slightly incongruous that we suddenly arrived in a car park when we were driving along, but don't you worry, this is Lidl, so everyone loves a Lidl, so we're all right. Now I thought, apart from sort of working our way around what is, let's face it, a tidy bike, what you might describe as gorgeous. My shadow's going to get in it now. There we go. But I mean, look at that. That's pretty damn sexy. Anyhow, what I thought we would just do before, I thought I'd show you how loud the bike was. Something 118. Excellent. Right, well that tells you how loud it goes. Oh dear, silly. It is a very attractive bike. As mentioned, front forks, dual brakes, Brambos at the front. I think they're 320s. I can't remember. I really can't remember. And then you've got single at the back. On the other side, obviously, chains this side, and then single at the back to 80. I'm guessing ABS, obviously. Guys and girls, if you're going to buy a bike, get it with ABS. It's remarkably good to have a bike with ABS. Speaking as someone who crashed whilst learning on a non-ABS bike, we got a pretty funky ass light at the front, which has the Triumph insignia, and then some people like the wing mirrors that look like aliens' antennae, but other people don't. You can get Triumph teardrop shaped ones, which is quite attractive. I've got very used to these now. Initially they didn't show me much, so the mirrors I had on my Kawasaki Vulcan were better in terms of showing me what was behind. These are nicer though. I mentioned Denali sound bomb. That's this chap here. Careful of these pipes. They are so hot. In fact, I have actually got some little markings there on the pipe and there on the pipe from where my cover melted to the pipe because I put it on too quickly. I forgot, of course, that these are about several thousand degrees hot, and it just melted my cover. So yeah, I got this in 2018, 2019. So considering that, it's in pretty good nick. There's the odd bit of rust, which came pretty quickly actually. Odd bit of rust here and there on some of the Can't remember what they're called. Where else have I seen rust? On the rims and inside the brakes. So in the brake discs, because these don't get rubbed by anything, that, you know, the caliper doesn't actually grip anything apart from the outside, these sort of attractive looking holes in the disc actually get sort of rusted up, and that just sort of slightly takes away from the beauty of it. The brake pads also rust quite quickly. We also talked about how good it was straight out of the shop, and that's what made it such a good bike. I've had two issues with it. One was this. Ooh, rear brake pedal. This bolt here just fell out, and the brake lever fell off. And there's a video of it somewhere on my channel where I mean, I was just riding along videoing, because I usually have the video going, whatever, and it just fell off. So that was a bit of a shock. So that was one thing, just hadn't been tightened up properly. And another non-tightening up properly issue were these things. So I actually bought the bike early on, and the handlebars dropped down so that when you can actually see here on the tank, there's that little mark there, and that's from when the handlebars actually hit the tank. They've now been lifted up to where they should be, and of course they don't hit the tank. If you are quite tall, your knees can get in the way. So if here you go, bang. So you should be aware of that if you're tall. Also, if you get the extra padded seat, that pushes you even further forward. Again, puts your knee in the way. So you often have to sort of drop a knee on corners, like in towns when you're drop a knee, hardly drop a knee, but lower your leg off the thing just to give your handlebars a bit more room for. It's not exactly the most amazing turning circle, let's face it. 12 litres, 150 miles. It's not great, but it's workable. It is workable, even for touring and stuff like that. And of course you can put luggage on, which is what these things are for. You can put luggage on the back, or a person on the back. I've got a seat that I could put on. In fact, there's a video, I might try and link it up here, where I talk about like the best accessories, and I show you how easy it is to kind of change the bike's identity from cruiser bobber to pillion up luggage holding tourer. What would you like to know? That's a much better question. If you would like to know something about this bike, ask in the comments below, because it's really hard to think of all the things when you have it yourself. If you're looking to buy this bike and you've got questions about it, ask, and I'll tell you if I know, or I'll try and find the answer for you. But yeah, if you want to know, ask, and then I know the sorts of things that you actually want to know, which is much easier than me trying to guess. We've done a bit of back roading, haven't we? Let's hit the motorway, and you can see how it deals on the motorway. Fortunately, you'll get a good idea of the acceleration and the noise as well. Nice and gentle, just in first gear, 20 miles an hour. I usually do move it up at about 30 in first gear, but it will go to 50 in first. So I'm in second, my favourite gear currently. Which goes to about 65 or so, and then you want to change again, and then you're good to go at whatever speed. Fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, 65 miles an hour, sixth gear, to put it in cruise control. So one tap to engage to activate cruise control, and then the second press, the green light comes up, and that engages it. As you can now see, I'm not throttling at all, just just for balance. Cruise control doesn't work under about 30 miles an hour. Not that you really need it under 30 miles an hour. Might not work in less than third gear either. I'll have to test that in a second. So cruise control activate. There we go. So it's in cruise now at 30 something. Let's take it off. Let's drop down to second and put it in cruise control. So yeah, it doesn't work below 30. Let's see if it goes above 30. Yeah, so you can't use it in second gear. Third gear does work. So you have to be above 30 and third gear or above for the cruise control to work. And then you can just happily let it do its thing, which is rather nice. It also drives itself. It's a self-driving it's not. It is not a self-driving bike. That would be silly. I button down here, bottom left, will cycle your screen. So I've currently got the range, but if we move through to miles per gallon, there we go. So currently 55.3 miles per gallon, 56.5 miles per gallon up a slight hill. See how it goes. So I average 61.2 miles per gallon, and I've done, there we go, I've done 5,000 miles on this bike. So it's quite a good time for a review actually, after 5,000 miles. So I've done 5,000 miles, averaging 61 miles per gallon. There seems to be grit flying out the back of this truck up here. Oh, ow, motherfucker! Jesus! Ow! Oh! You w***er! Oh, that's so painful. Ah, my legs! Second gear, beauty. Oh, and the drop, the burbles. Oh. So good, so good. So, kind of final thoughts as a review of this bike. If this is the style of bike you like, look no further. I don't think there's a better cruiser on the market. To be honest, it's that good. Yeah, quality.